Hail, hail, the Celts are here, and what the hell do we care now? Everything can change in a week in Scottish football, and in this title race, it has taken another unexpected twist this weekend. That now, coming out of very three matches in the league on 78 points, with even with Rangers catching up with their game in hand, that 1 point advantage just gives Celtic that little edge, that little foothold of control in the title race now after locking in the win against St Mirren as we see them dropping points to Ross County. And, you know, before we come into the Scottish Cup semi-final, this is the perfect position that Celtic would want to be in, of course, before we get into the split, having destiny in our own hands like we spoke about after the derby. But now, even when all things are equal, still maintaining that point advantage on top of the very impressive goal difference that we've been amassing. In the video today, we'll be breaking down what happened against St Mirren, what we learned, what we've seen, because there's quite a few talking points from it. Absent players, 6 substitutes, the goal scorers, and no Maeda for the rest of the season. What does that mean? At any point in the video today, if you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. We are pushing for 10,000 subscribers before the end of the season, and we cannot do that without your support. So if you do enjoy the content here, like I say, hit the subscribe button, but feel free to share it around, like, retweet, all that good stuff. Get into the comment section on this one and let me know, how confident are we coming into the split now? Because for me, I think confidence is at an all-time high for the calendar year 2024, certainly. So feeling good, and there's a lot of positives around. But yeah, let's just get stuck straight into it. Now, typically at home at St Mirren, the 95% of Celtic's home games this season and just in general tend to go to the same kind of rhythm, the same kind of beat. And St Mirren are normally one of those teams that know the rhythm, that know the beat, and, they can be a little bit of a banana-skinned fixture in that sense, where they can get the goal against the run of play. Maybe they can even score the first goal in the game, which is always just frustrating, if not infuriating sometimes, just because it's that power of the first goal and what it can do and all the rest of it. But coming into this game, first of all, the team sheet had a lot of question marks over it, or a lot of, let's say, surprise inclusions. We did get a sniff from the press conference that Liam Scales and Maeda were going to miss this fixture, of course. There was a little bit of question mark over, would it be Nawrocki or would it be Welsh? And I think the centre-back, or the whole defence, really, of course, getting the clean sheet in this game was one of the real highlights, one of the real big takeaways from this game in terms of moving forward for the remainder of the season, what it maybe means for Nawrocki, Scales, and just really the whole defensive makeup, along with Tomoki Iwata retaining his place, with McGregor again on the bench for the second game in a row. Of course, not at 100%. I think a lot of people would have said that after the derby match, rightly or wrongly, I suppose. And Yang getting the starting berth on the left wing in the absence of the absent Dazin Maeda. And of course, with Kyogo starting over Ida, which again, there's maybe a bit of conversation coming into this game after Ida's heroics in the derby, that maybe for this game, Kyogo would have sat the bench and come on, and Kuhn again retaining his spot on the right wing. So straight away, this was never going to be the same kind of game that we've seen over the last couple of weeks or so, because Dazin Maeda, Liam Scales, for better or for worse, and generally speaking over the season, especially Callum McGregor, been huge parts of a lot of the positives in Celtic's play. But really, this midfield three of Iwata, Hatate and O'Reilly really does balance out perfectly for the style of play we are looking to play, and for when we're at home to teams like St Mirren. All three of these guys are very good at finding each other with the ball. One thing I would like to see a little bit more of is direct O'Reilly and Hatate interaction and build-up play with one another. It does feel like maybe sometimes they're a little bit disconnected from one another, but Iwata's very good at turning the ball over and making sure they're always close to somebody else to make the play happen, which kind of brings Nawrocki into the conversation a little bit, because we were speaking last week about Scales walking into positions, getting on top of other players and becoming a bit awkward with it. One thing that we've seen in this match that I don't think it really bore much fruit, as it were, but Nawrocki is way more comfortable at just jumping that line and coming into this space here if he's carrying the ball. If the opposition are going to stand off us and be compact and not give anything away and be tight between the lines, Scales will maybe do that kind of thing maybe once to twice a match at the most. But Nawrocki seems like he's way more ready, willing and able to not just take the ball out from our half into the centre ground here, but actually break the line, carry the ball forward, and then try and play a pass into either the forward directly or maybe one of the wingers, depending on where the space is. And again, Nawrocki, I think he shows, when he's shown already in his Celtic career, he does have a great range of passing. He's got a good eye for a long ball as well, like out for a switch, or sometimes down the channel. So I do think he does offer something a little bit different, and his inclusion in this game was really interesting to see. It was a lot of fun, because we do see a lot more forward progression and we do see a lot more directness with Hatate. You only need to look at his goal, 1-2 touch stuff, but all the balls that he's playing in and around these midfield zones when they get compact, out to the wingers, it's just all 1-2 touch, and it complements O'Reilly's play so well, because O'Reilly loves to control the play, loves to be in amongst it with all the bodies and then try and get the ball out to someone else who can be effective, and then maybe himself he can get back into the box, depending on what part of the pitch he's in. But because O'Reilly will cover that extra ground, it buys Hatate that bit of space to be a little bit freer, to occupy the more dangerous areas. So then we do win the ball, of course, if we make sure we go and find him in these areas, he can come into the plate and be effective. And I do think, like, Yang coming onto the left, I was expecting quite a lot from him. And I think what we've started to see in this game here is between Yang and Kuhn, we're in a similar problem situation to what we have with Palma and Maeda, where we kind of have two halves of the perfect player on this side here, because like Yang, for any weaknesses or any of the criticism that comes his way, he's got high energy, he's got very good coordination, he can travel with the ball at a really good pace, he normally has the right idea going on, but his execution, his composure, these kind of things are what are letting him down. And because it's those things that tend to let him down, we've seen this really since he's been at Celtic to a greater or lesser extent. I've always got a bit of faith in this guy, because those things you can overcome them with experience and time, and that's just the only thing you can't snap your fingers and acquire. And again, I think this was just a big part of Yang's game. He should have scored in this one, no two ways about it. And Kuhn has the composure, has elite level technique. Like when Kuhn is moving around in tight spaces with the ball, you can never really tell when he's actually passed it until you see the ball travelling or someone else has the ball. Even when he's out in a wide area, if he is free to swing a cross in, I don't think I've seen him play a bad cross. Everything is semi-dangerous. You've got to have players that are up, willing and able to fight for it in the air and be able to win it, of course, but I think he's got so much going for him. But if some people get tied to him a bit too quickly, or if they double up on him, he's maybe not quite got all those tools in his locker, that raw energy and pace to go past people in more difficult circumstances. So, like, I think both these guys added a lot to the game. Yang, sadly, will be seen as to have maybe, missed his sitter, not really contributed much in the overall play. But I think it was great to see him on the left, because Yang's had an in and out season, highs and lows and everything else. And because he can play right and left, like some other players in the team we've seen over recent times, he's been maybe forced into playing on the right side a bit more. And yeah, he's been okay there. But by all accounts, we signed this guy as a left winger, Jota style, when in the summer. So it was good to see him get some minutes on the left. And now with Diaz and Maeda out for the remainder of the season, this is going to be a position that is a head scratcher every week, because later in the game we see Palma come in. Kuhn, we're told, can play right and left, okay? But I think when we do have Yang and Palma, you're not going to play Kuhn on the left to get Yang on the right, or to maybe bring Forrest into the equation at this stage, to be honest. I think Kuhn, you want to nail him in, because on the right-hand side with Alistair Johnson, his game has went to a new level in a Celtic shirt, and I don't think it's in any small part to this kind of trifecta that we see on the right-hand side of the pitch. The runs that Johnson's making into this inside channel, into the box, of course, as well as inside of the pitch here, are very direct. He's very confident, very strong, and he's not got like that killer pass where he's unlocking a defence, but he makes right decisions, he plays it to the right player, and like for the Hatate goal, he gets a little bit of credit for the assist play, giving it a ball on his inside foot to be able to take the 1-2 touch or whatever. But Alistair Johnson, Kuhn and O'Reilly in this position, in this zone here, I don't think you want to derail that in any way, because a lot of Celtic's best players we've spoke about on the channel a number of times is on the left hand side. We've seen peak Celtic Taylor in that inverted fullback role alongside Hatate and Maeda on the left-hand side, being very formidable and one of our main assets in terms of attacking and winning matches. So to get that similar level on the right-hand side, I think it just really opens up how dangerous we can be and how many goal-scoring opportunities we can start to create. So I don't want to mess with that. I'm quite happy with the right-hand side of the pitch, how that's kind of developing out. But I think between Yang and Palma, again, we kind of come into that same kind of boat, because when Palma comes into the game, like, he is desperate to, get his mark on the match, do something himself, because we've seen the bench be very effective, over the last couple of weeks. James Forrest, Adam Ida, to name, Paulo Bernardo, to name the regular cast, as it were. So Palma coming back to fitness, there's a lot of pressure, expectation, and, for himself, his own kind of standing in the team, he's got to come off the bench and contribute. And I think he's, again, kind of played to his petulance when he goes one-on-one with Hemming and he scoops the ball back up and he goes to try and beat the keeper on the tight angle rather than squaring the ball for Bernardo, Ida and Forrest. He had three guys with him. didn't try, didn't look, didn't even think about it. It was just like, to me, when I see that, I'm thinking you're raging the keeper saved that, and you're trying to mug him off by coming back and scooping him on the far post with a worldie because you think you've got that in your locker, rather than just seeing the oncoming midfielder and make the play. Again, it's a problem I've had with Kyogo before. I just don't think that players that have that level of, selfishness, I don't know what the right word is, I hate seeing it. And, that's a hard thing to get out of some people, So Palma, for his own good, for our good, he has to nail that out, because if that's in a different situation where he started the match, it's 0-0 or whatever, like I mentioned earlier in the video, the first goal of the game can mean so much to the tempo, the rhythm, and ultimately the outcome. And I hate Kyogo when he's doing this stuff at 0-0, and Palma's obviously still got that in his makeup, as it were, or whatever. So I didn't really like to see that, and I think this left-hand side of the pitch here is going to be, something we need to visit a few times. To be honest with you, I don't think we're going to see this against Aberdeen. We're kind of all over the place with the breakdown, guys. I'll come to midfield in a second, but I would really love Kyogo to come out to this left-hand side. And now I know what you are all going to say in the chat now, the comment section. Kyogo's not left forward, yada yada, right? Kyogo is the best person in the squad to do the Dyson Maeda job on the left wing. And Dyson Maeda's problem on the left wing is finishing chances and stuff like that. Kyogo doesn't have that problem necessarily. His problem can be he only touches the ball twice, maybe gets one shot away. That's like a bad game, or the problem with Kyogo in the team sometimes. So having him in this area here, I don't think he's quite as defensively capable or ferocious to actually win the ball and turn it over as Maeda does. But he definitely has the energy. He definitely has the threat. And if he finds himself in... Think about the amount of situations Maeda finds himself in where people are like, I can't believe he's missed that. Kyogo finishes so many of them. Back post, sneaky ball coming across from the other side of the pitch, whatever. Because Adam Ida in this, arrowhead role here, I was surprised he didn't start. Not surprised he scored from the bench. And I do think this is, a great dynamic in the squad that is pushing Kyogo to score a header this weekend as well. But if Maeda is out for the remainder of the season, yes, Yang and Palma should get minutes. They need to develop further also. But I would not rule out Kyogo coming in here and making a big impact from this side here in the Maeda role, as it is, that high energy second forward, playing off of Adam Ida, who's doing phenomenally at the moment. And you can only imagine that could be some good link-up play, especially when you've got Hatate in here. You're not needing Kyogo in this role to drop in and link-up play. You've got the Hatate in here, and O'Reilly, of course, able to do that. So that's a little bit of 2 cents from me on what I'd like to see there. Again, Adam Ida, I said it last week, I'll say it again, sign the guy up. I think he's... let's negotiate the fee down, but he's a Celtic player for me. And the only real thing I really want to mention about the midfield is, again, probably the balance we've got here. Now, I do think, I was really surprised that McGregor didn't start this game, okay? Now, he's obviously not 100% fit, but I've got a little sneaky feeling that it's a convenient truth at the moment that McGregor is not 100% fit, because I really don't think, St Mirren aside, but playing them in the final derby match, I really don't think he gets into this midfield in terms of what he offers and against what these guys individually offer. Now, yes, I know man for man, he's definitely... just as good as, if not better, than Iwata and in certain departments, some of these other guys as well. But the balance that we've got here, everything else, carrying Yang and Palma on the left wing here, earlier this season, and having a bit of a choppy change of defence, without Iwata in here, when it has been McGregor, and I know maybe he's not always had a Tate there, but O'Reilly's always been there, certainly. We just have an extra level of security in the midfield that gives even O'Reilly and Hatate, who's now in town, a bit more opportunity to actually go forward and attack. And equally, I do think Hatate is a maverick. He is our best attacking player by a long way. Him being on the pitch makes us much more of an attacking threat for all of our attacking players that come off the bench to start the game, etc. And O'Reilly has now got another partner on the pitch to help, show his qualities and to help him ultimately be effective for the lineup. I thought McGregor might have started this match because St Mirren isn't Rangers, so you would expect we have a lot more possession. We maybe don't need that defensive shield as urgently as we do against a team like them who are more dangerous, of course. So yeah, do you want maybe the McGregor on the ball a bit more to nip play up and, move it from right to left and get out of defence and into midfield and all the rest of it? But without McGregor in the team, as I said, Nawrocki moves forward into space. Carter Vickers is just always playing Alistair Johnson or Kuhn or O'Reilly. He's playing it into this area here on the regular. And again, we know what we get from Taylor, Hatate, and whoever's out on the left on this side of the pitch here. So I don't think having this net player, even against the St Mirren types, is that important? It's probably a lot better, especially if you can have a big giant like Nawrocki, Scales to a lesser extent, whenever he does it, just invade and overload here. If you have that willingness to go forward, because you do have a really capable defensive midfielder, again, I just don't think McGregor in this defensive midfield role, as long as Iwata keeps just ticking the boxes and being like, it's not that he's doing anything fantastic, or he's doing anything that you would look at and go, oh wow, that's superhuman. The same way that maybe you get with Dyson Maeda for the energy and the endeavour and everything he offers. But he reads the game well, doesn't really make any mistakes, and he is a defensive player, whereas McGregor, isn't defensively amazing. Some things that look easy are easy, but some things that look easy aren't easy, and you just see, oh, Iwata's popped up there, he's recovered the ball, or he's ran back so quick that he got into a good position. The centre-back has had more time to deal with the situation and has not had to foul the guy. All these kind of things kind of go into it as well. It's quite obvious that Hatate isn't going to be playing many 90 minutes. Of course, he's not anywhere near fully fit. He's not been playing all the season, etc. But even at that, he's very rarely going to be ticking into the 90-minute mark. And this is the position that McGregor should really be making sure he's tuned up and capable for. Because that's where we see McGregor generally influencing the game much better. When it is closer to that final third and it's being very good in tight spaces, thinking fast and playing the ball, to anyone in this zone is going to be dangerous. Whereas when you're doing that further back in the pitch, it's just, it takes a pass or two extra to get higher up the pitch or to get to the danger players, and sometimes that's just too much against other teams. So I do think Iwata does kind of go missing in a game like this, which is fine, but when you've got that kind of line breaking coming from defence, it's hard to see McGregor coming into that midfield and making it better. Alistair Johnston bringing in a 100 out of 100 score was fantastic to see. 30 all-around score, 2 assists, setting up 2 goals, 2 assists, which is fantastic to see. He's played 10 balls into the box, caught 75 passes for himself, 28 of them in the final third. He was a real handful to deal with for St Mirren in their own area, and defensively still completed a tackle and interception, which is, more than you can say for most other Celtic defenders. Not too many defensive actions to be seen. Carter Vickers, 9 duels won, 1 lost, which is 8 positive wins. 98 accurate passes as well. Big man was on possession, carrying the ball forward. And like we mentioned, Iwata, not actually much done in the game. He's just that defensive kind of shield to make sure that the likes of Vickers and Nawrocki were capable to, be on the ball and try and play it a bit further up to either the dangerous fullbacks that we have or into midfield directly. So some good performances here. The stats don't really show everything in terms of some of the off-the-ball stuff. We don't have the big chance missed for Yang with a fresh air attempt. So good score for him. When you see wingers getting into the 40s and above, you know that they're beating their men, you know that they're putting balls into the box and creating some chances. And O'Reilly and Hatate bringing in really big scores from midfield again, because they're getting involved in both sides of the game, tackling, winning the ball back, as well as being in possession comfortably, creating chances in the final third. And Hatate, of course, himself being decisive, getting the goal in the game. But for both these guys, the amount of final third passes that they clock up statistically and when you're actually watching the game is what makes this team dangerous. Kyogo with his goal, Adam Ida with his goal, and like I mentioned in some of the breakdown, like Palma missing some opportunities. And really with Adam Ida's goal, by the way, Paulo Bernardo gets off big time because he's got 2 big chances missed for coming off the bench. And if Ida doesn't score that, everyone will remember that Bernardo, is much more of a missed goal there, So Ida really gets him out of jail for that one. And yeah, I've got a lot of confidence in this lineup. I say the left wing position now, if Maeda isn't going to be back for this season, is probably, again, another question mark that comes into the team, but maybe the final question mark that we have to deal with for this season. Everything else does feel relatively nailed in. And, there was some rumours that McGregor would be out for the season. And I know he's not because he's been on the bench the last couple of weeks, but we might see this be his role for the remainder of the season because the injury might give it that convenient truth to the coaches where he's not 100%, so we can continue to play this much better balanced midfield that we've got to make sure that we, secure the cup against Aberdeen and then go into the final, as well as, getting the title over the line against the Split. So it will be really interesting to see how the team does shape out over the next couple of weeks in particular for the most part. But I think so many of the players are in a great position of form. And against a St Mirren team, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, can be a banana skin, can be a team that, know the rhythm of these matches, can score against the run of play and make things difficult for you. overall, very convincing result. Very happy with the performance and getting the clean sheet in for Joe Hart on his victory route, or on his victory lap before retirement is great to see, because he's been short of a few clean sheets recently, and I know obviously for him personally that'll be something he's very focused on to end his career with, some sort of maybe run of good performances, a clean sheet record or something like that would be nice, I suppose, or something. So lots of positives to take out the game, and I think this game really does highlight, or this weekend probably is the better way of saying it, like the level that we're at, and hopefully how competitive that the team is going to remain across all games between now and the end of the season. I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. Don't forget to stay tuned to the channel for more content as we build up to Aberdeen at the weekend. On screen there now is some other stuff that we've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Stay out of trouble, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.